Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. So let's talk about indictments just because it makes me feel good. Re-indicted and it feels so good. He is terrified, isn't he, of going to prison? I mean, it really is one of the, to me, the major issues of this, election is, do we have a democracy? Do we have a rule of law or not? Because, if God forbid he gets reelected, all these cases go away. If not, I really do believe they're all going to, he is going to go to prison at some point. I mean, he's succeeded in delay for sure. Yeah. But talk about that a little bit.
He's a master at manipulating the court systems. He was involved in over 4,000 lawsuits before he became president, right? But those were all civil suits, civil cases. And he knows how to lawyer up. He knows how to drag it out so you'll settle for pennies on the dollar. He can't do that with these cases, with these federal cases. He knows he stole the documents. He knows he conspired to overturn the election. He knows he called up the, Secretary of State of Georgia and said, I need to find 11,300 votes or whatever it was, because we heard him do it.
Yeah.
So he knows they have him dead to rights, and he knows his only chance of getting out of it is to win the election and to throw the cases out. And I agree with you. They're not going away if we do the right thing and show up and vote in November.
Yeah, that's the jury verdict is November 5th, right? I love this. So Speaker Pelosi was on tape. Her daughter obviously did this documentary. And I love I loved actually what she said on tape. She said Trump has to pay a price for January 6th. I think that's part of what we're all hoping for. She said, I think our focus has to be on the president. Let's not differ. I've never liked Sund, she said at the time. She said, I think he should have been gone a long time ago. And anyway, they're trying to say that she admitted on tape that it was her fault about the National Guard. She said no such thing, right?
She said no such thing.
Absolutely, she didn't say that. She was one of the people that was getting hunted by the mob that he incited to attack our Capitol.
Right. She said, in fact, why weren't the National Guard there to begin with? Which means, obviously, she wasn't in charge of getting the National Guard there, right?
She absolutely wasn't in charge of that. And the DOD had taken steps to make sure there wouldn't be the proper security in place, because that was part of the conspiracy that Trump and his enablers enacted. They wanted to do what they almost got away with doing. And we all saw it play out on live television. And now he's trying to rewrite history, and he has people like Speaker Johnson helping him in that. And that's what we can't whitewash. To go back to your earlier point about the corporate media, they're platforming some of the people that were behind January 6th at this point and not mentioning January 6th. And that's a disservice to democracy itself, because something like that cannot stand.
Yeah. I say almost every day, God bless Mark Elias. Thank God for him and the work, because that's the thing I'm most concerned about. They're clearly preparing just to cheat. They're not really preparing to win. I mean, and we were saying some of these sound bites with Donald, he seems like he's given up. He is so low energy, and it seems like he knows he's going to lose, and this is all they have. But let's listen to Mark Elias. He's talking about North Carolina. Yeah, cut to, sorry.
Carolina is a toss-up state, and I think Republicans are very nervous about that. It is also one of the most gerrymandered states in the country. The legislature in North Carolina is pound for pound as gerrymandered as any in the country and as crazy as any in the country. And what is standing between that legislature and the worst of the worst is a Democratic governor.
Yeah, one more, Mark Elias.
Josh Stein is on the ballot and got to keep that governorship moving forward. But in the meantime, Republicans, the RNC just filed 2 more lawsuits in North Carolina. We expect even more coming, and my message to the Republicans in North Carolina is we have beaten you in court before and we will beat you again.
Yeah, I mean, this is state after state. We did a whole bunch of stories yesterday. Everything they're doing is trying to suppress the vote. And like Michelle Obama said, we just have to overwhelm their efforts to suppress, don't we?
Yeah, Michelle's right and Mark is right, and that's what they're going to do. And you're correct. You're absolutely correct. Trump has given up. He knows he's not going to win the popular vote, and he knows he's not going to win a legitimate, vote by plurality. What he's going to try to win by is what Mark said, the gerrymandered districts and the ones that are close enough that he can contest it, and he can say, I'm not counting those votes in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee. They cheated, or Pittsburgh, or North Carolina, or Georgia. right? And he's hoping to make enough noise and chaos that he can claim victory early on election night. I would urge your viewers, that's what you have to watch out for, is him coming out and saying, stop counting the votes, I won. Anything else is they're trying to steal your election again. Take to the streets, good people of Magaville, and intimidating people.
Let's remind people of that, Noel, that they did that on purpose, that they count the mail-in votes last so that it would seem like there was a red wave on election night. That, and again, we have it out here in California. There is nothing wrong with mail-in voting. Donald Trump has mail-in voted.
Right.
Yeah. It is actually more secure because they have all your information or you wouldn't get a ballot. They have your driver's license. They have all your ID,
Right.
Yeah.
That's how our veterans vote that are deployed overseas. The same people he's proclaiming to honor when he's shooting campaign videos on their grave sides. That's how their votes come in. So, there's no difference between a mail-in ballot and somebody who stands in line. And I'll say one more thing. After the last election, a place like Georgia put in all these rules like you can't give people water who are standing in line in the heat and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. So we should prepared for a lot of that. People showing up to vote and their name isn't on the registered. Check it now. Don't wait till November.
They want people to vote on election day so they can intimidate them, so they can make them stand, in 8-hour lines, have to get childcare, have to get off and work, stand in the rain, be intimidated by poll watchers. I mean, so that's why, we keep saying if you can vote by mail, vote early, vote however you have to. But speaking of conspiracy theories, I just wanted to say this story. Donald Trump is quietly courting voters who lurk in the dark corners of the internet and see conspiracy theorist Bobby Kennedy Jr. as a beacon of hope, according to a new Salon announcement. We're talking about QAnon. Like he's literally going for the lunatic fringe vote. I mean,
yeah, he is. Yeah, and that's why he's got Mike Flynn still working on his behalf. Mike Flynn is all intertwined with the QAnon thing, and that stuff is dangerous. It may seem marginal and fractional, but fractional. One insect can ruin a whole field of grain. Those guys can do real damage. And in past years and past political movements, people didn't have YouTube. They couldn't sit up at 3 a.m. and research some crazy conspiracy theory about vaccines.
Yeah.
And look what happened after COVID pandemic. Nobody talked about this kind of stuff before, and then you had podcasters like, the vaccines are bad for you. It's like, what? It's saving our lives, But
these are the people that think, John F. Kennedy Jr. is still alive and is coming back. They said Kennedy Bobby has a special appeal to a group that isn't mentioned so much in the mainstream media anymore, but whose bizarre ideas still hold power over millions. QAnon, a cult-like conspiracy community that believes Trump is a savior sent to stop an imaginary cabal of Satan-worshipping pedophiles. The one guy that was on Epstein's plane is the guy they think is going to save them, right?
Exactly. And people buy this craziness and they spread it to each other. And it's a bigger threat than we think about. You're absolutely right. It's not mentioned a lot anymore, but it's still out there. And he's trying to activate whatever kind of chaos he can, whatever kind of crazy theme. He doesn't care. He's got no morality.
This is so, I think, on point, Noel, in Salon. Trump has a stench of desperation to him as Harris rises in the polls. The choice is yet another indicator of how much the Trump campaign's strategy depends on appealing to fringe constituencies in hopes they turn out just enough creeps and conspiracy theorists to eke out a win in the swing states. The best Trump can hope for is to distract enough of them with conspiracy theories like QAnon that they forget his dangerous real-life conspiracies like Project 2025. I guess the polling I'm seeing so far, the Bobby Kennedy thing makes no difference. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it makes much of a difference, a fraction of a difference in poll numbers. It will make a difference in what you just illuminated, though. It will perhaps activate the fringe element. And those are the same kind of people he's going to be calling on after the election to show up outside polling places when they're counting the votes in Arizona and intimidate people and say Satan wants Harris to win and all the kind of lunacy we saw in Arizona after 2020. So that's where that element can be a strategic benefit, and I think that's part of his motivation. He needs those guys for after election day to make a bunch of.
Interesting, though, one top Republican donor slammed Trump for what he called the self-destructive decision to invite Bobby Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard onto his transition team and warned that embracing the fringe will offend moderate Republicans. Called anti-vax kook Kennedy and Gabbard for having supported Bernie Sanders. I mean, there's no governing philosophy other than they're all a bunch of fringe kooks.
Yeah. freaks. Tulsi Gabbard. I mean, that's just freak. You know what I mean? I hate to say it, and those, she was a Democrat, right?
Yeah.
Like it's insane. Like she was so obviously out of her mind from the beginning, and it's crazy. It's crazy time. Like you said earlier, I can't even believe we live in this timeline. Every day I'm like, I'm done. I'm not commenting on this anymore. And by 6 o'clock, I'm like, oh my God, can you believe this happened? And I'm tweeting.
I was so tired after the DNC. I came down here, stumbled down the stairs Monday morning. I said, Jody, did Trump just do a thumbs up at a soldier's grave in Arlington? And Bobby Kennedy saw a whale's head off? And she's like, yes. I was like, all right, back to work.
Exactly. I was sitting on the beach for the last 2 days on coastal Connecticut because I'm like, I just need to go stare at waves. I texted Jody a week ago. I was like, or emailed. I was like, I'm sitting here looking at waves because it's the only way. I turn off my phone, I put it in the beach bag, and I just stare at waves.
It's a real life wave machine. No, are we lucky that he lives in a delusion where he would win California and that he thinks the Fox News polls are wrong, showing Kamala Harris winning? I guess it's good, right? We're just like, yeah, it's real good what you're doing.
Exactly. Yeah, he saw a couple signs on the way in from the airport on his private 757, so he must be popular.
Yeah, there's a couple boats and not really a parade, but a boat down thing in Marina.
That's how they handle him, though. They put him around things that, like, feed his ego because his needs are so immediate. He wants music to play when he walks in the room. He wants to get high, and he wants to hit on women. That's Trump. And if you can manipulate him, you can move him around any way you want.
I mean, but that's what I mean. We were just talking about the money they're spending on ads just that he sees in Mar-a-Lago. Everyone in Mar-a-Lago is already voting for him, but it's just, you're right, it's his ego. This one, the terrifying thing. Hang on, here we go.
Once when we're going to fix the country, and it's not going to be important for you to come, and we're not going to need you voted, but we need the votes now.
So this latest failed business, Truth Social, Noel. So if Trump wants to tap into a cash windfall that awaits him in his stake in Trump, whatever, the parent company of Truth Social, his time is coming soon, but there are also indications some of the company's insider are seeing the writing on the wall. It's not good. Stock has plummeted 40% in the past month. The executives have already started cashing in their stock as the value plummets. I love this. One analyst said if Trump were to sell a large number of shares and the stock price tanks, to some degree he would be burning his own supporters who bought the stock. Politically, that may not play out real well for him. He doesn't care, does he? Like, he will take the money, won't he?
He's got the order to sell already in with his broker. I promise you. The second he's allowed to dump that stock, he's going to dump it, and he's going to burn all those fools who invested in it. Mm-hmm. And people forget, he fell for a couple supporters. One of them was an ex-apprentice contestant who propositioned him with that idea at a diner in Fort Lauderdale. They were like, hey, you should start your own version of Twitter and we'll help you. He burned those guys by diluting the shares, and they had to sue him in Delaware court. He'll do any nasty bad thing you can do to make.
So we were talking about the assassination attempt. CNN's fact-checked Trump's suggestion that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were to blame for his assassination attempt. Trump said when this happened, people would ask whose fault is it? I think to a certain extent it's Biden's fault and Harris's fault. And I'm the opponent. Look, they were weaponizing the government against me. They brought in the whole DOJ to try to get me. They weren't too interested in my health and safety. They were making it very difficult to have proper staffing in terms of Secret Service. I mean, we have to be ready for, they're going to blame Kamala Harris for absolutely everything, right?
And he doesn't mention that President Biden and Vice President Harris tried to outlaw the kind of weapons that were used in his assassination attempt, and his party blocked that, as they have done every year since, the assault weapons ban expired that Clinton put in. So, they didn't endanger his life. They're protecting his life, and it's dangerous to spew lies like that.
Well, and also, speaking of conspiracy theories, I'm like, really? We put out a hit on him and we chose a 20-year-old white registered Republican?
Who wasn't apparently that great a shot. Like, it's not funny, but like, if the government wants you dead, you're dead. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if the government has a conspiracy to assassinate you, you're not gonna, you're probably gonna get assassinated. Like, but It's maddening. And the fact that people buy it, it's the same people who are going to get hurt in, God forbid, a next Trump term. The same people that wave around the flags and serve our country are the same people he is dishonoring with this rhetoric.
Yeah.